right, I'm living in a surf town, so I figured I was overdue for posting a yoga class for surfers. While I'm not an accomplished surfer, I have surfed enough to know what's required in the body to be a strong surfer, and you can use this pretty short and sweet class as a warm-up, or you can practice after a good surf session. I am going to incorporate, however, some strength building moves into this practice that are great for surfing. So enjoy that aspect of it too. We're gonna start in a child's pose variation. So for this child's pose, actually bring the knees in line with the hips and the shins flat to the floor and the heels in line with the knees. And then just rest the hips back on the heels and walk the hands forward. Release the forehead down toward the mat. And we're going to take some breaths here. So begin to inhale and exhale through the nose. So surfing does require control and regulation of the breath. So this is a great place to practice that as we begin to shape the breath into long and slow and even inhales and exhales. Take 3 more breaths here. Last full inhale. Exhale it out through the nose. And then from this position with straight arms, we're just going to press ourselves forward to a high cobra. So just come up over the arms and then release the hips down to the floor, reach through the crown of the head, and then right away just press back to child's pose. And then inhale again, come up to Cobra pose. Exhale, back to child's pose. And we'll do that one more time. Inhale, Cobra pose. Exhale, child's pose. Now come back to Cobra pose on the inhale and then tuck the toes under, and then we'll make our way back to downward facing dog. So just lifting the knees off the floor, lifting the hips high up and back, and then releasing the heels down toward the floor. So in downward facing dog, find some movement here so you can start to pedal the legs, bending and straightening one at a time. Another option also is just to sway the hips side to side. Peek up at those hands and spread the fingers nice and wide. Middle finger pointing toward the front of the mat. And then press the hips back again, looking back toward the heels. Make sure that the heels are disappearing behind the toes, so make any adjustments. And then really tighten up and engage through the quadriceps, the fronts of the legs. And then let the head be really heavy so that there's no tension being held in the neck. We should be able to wobble the head back and forth, around in circles. And then just find stillness here in downward facing dog now that we have our alignment for 3 more breaths. Inhale and exhale through the nose. Continue to shape and lengthen each breath. Last full breath in this first downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. And go ahead and walk the hands back to the back of the mat, bringing the hands toward the feet, and then just bending the legs as we come back, resting the torso on top of the thighs, taking opposite hand to opposite elbow, coming into ragdoll. Again, let the head hang heavy, nice long back of the neck. You can sway side to side if that feels good, just like we did in downward facing dog. Feel free to find some movement. If you'd rather just hang in stillness, go ahead and take that option. One more breath here in ragdoll. Release the hands down to the mat, and then walk yourself forward to plank pose. So just walk the hands all the way until the wrists are underneath the shoulders. And just hold here in this strong high plank for another breath. Inhale. Exhale. Keep the head in line with the spine, the heels in line with the hips. Take another inhale. Really engage through the core, and then exhale, lower down onto your mat. So nice and slow, finding a lot of control here in the movement, building strength in the arms. Keep the hands positioned right where they are. Take the tops of the feet flat to the floor, and inhale, peel the chest off the floor, coming into Cobra pose. Okay, so we really want to isolate the muscles in our back. So as we lift, see if you can find a little bit of height, and then take the hands off the floor and try and hold that height. Take another breath here and release. We're going to take a shoulder stretch now. So go ahead and bring that right arm off to the right, palm faces down, left hand press into it, and then roll up and over. That left knee is going to come high, left foot to the floor, and then right ear onto the mat. You really want to open up here through the chest and the shoulders. You can take movement in that right arm by walking the hand a little bit closer to the top of the mat, or to the back of the mat, depending on the tightness in your shoulder. So just experiment. Also changes the stretch. And then we're going to come back to center and we'll switch sides. So bring that left arm straight out to the side. Palm is going to face down. We're going to roll to the left. Keep that right hand underneath the right shoulder. Right knee comes up and right foot comes to the floor. Rest the left ear on the floor. Breathe here in and out through the nose. And then again, if you'd like to, just experiment with this stretch. You can walk this hand a little bit closer to the front or toward the back. I personally feel a nice deeper stretch as I move my hand toward the front of my mat, but it might be different for you. Take another breath. And come back towards center. Place both hands underneath the shoulders again. Peel up into Cobra pose. Keep those elbows drawn in. Lift through the crown of the head, and then slowly release with control. And then we're going to do that again. So inhale, peel it up. Exhale, roll it down. Okay, so right in reverse of the way we came down, we're going to tuck the toes under, engage the quads so that the knees lift off of the floor. And we really want to do this movement nice and slow so you can just engage all the muscles coming up into high plank. So very slowly, press it up. See if you can keep that completely flat body, head in line with the spine, heels in line with the hips, all the way up to straight arms, and then press back, downward facing dog. So a little strength building aspect there. Take another breath in downward facing dog, and then we're going to continue to stretch. So on the inhale, lift the right leg high, point the right toes down toward the mat. We should be looking back toward the right toes. And then we're going to bring knee to nose. See if you can touch your knee to your nose. We want to build the strength in the core so that we can make this movement smooth as we come right foot between the hands. So the stronger our core is, the more control we have getting into that lunge, the easier it will be in your surfing practice to step your foot forward. So take another breath in this strong low lunge. Keep that back leg nice and engaged, the shoulders drawn away from the ears, head in line with the spine. We're going to release the left knee down onto the floor. Bend that left leg. We're going to take a stretch for our hip flexor and our quadricep. So go ahead and start to reach that left hand toward the outside of the left foot. Okay, now you can keep your right hand on a block, the floor, or you can press it up onto that right knee. Sink a little bit deeper into the hips. This is just going to depend on the level of your flexibility, but find a nice stretch. Try to keep your shoulders squared to the front of your mat, and then continue to draw the left heel in toward the glute. And release. All right, lift that left knee off the floor, plant the hands, step back to plank pose. Same thing, lower all the way down onto the mat. Nice and slow with control. Try not to drop down. 1 Cobra. So inhale, peel it up, building strength in the back. Exhale, release. Just as slow as we came down, press it back up. Good. If that feels like too much, just place your knees on the floor and work on pressing back up slowly with the knees on the floor, back to downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Let's take that stretch on the other side. So left leg lifts up. All 5 toes of the left foot are pointing down toward the floor. Your hips should be level here, and the gaze should be back toward the toes. And then we're going to take that left knee, try and touch the nose. Again, building that core strength and control so that we can lightly and easily step the left foot between the hands. That takes practice. So just working in that direction. Hold low lunge, shoulders away from the ears, 1 long line from the crown of the head back toward the heel. And then release that right knee down onto the floor. We're going to take the stretch here. So bend that right leg. Take the foot from the outside, and then to the best of your ability, square the shoulders. Okay, now your left hand can be on a block, propped up on a block on the floor, or you can press that left hand onto the left knee and then sink a little bit deeper. Keep reaching through the crown of the head, really focusing on the stretch in the right quadricep, the right hip flexor. And gentle release of the right foot back to the floor. Hands onto either side of that left foot. Lift the knee off the floor. Step back plank. And lower down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Tops of the feet to the floor. Inhale, peel up Cobra. Exhale, release. Tuck your toes under. Either knees can stay on the floor or engage first. So the knees lift off the floor and then 5, pushing up, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Downward facing dog. Take another full breath here. All right, so let's open up the hips and then we'll move into some standing postures. So look towards your hands, lift your heels, get a little bit of a hop. If you don't feel comfortable hopping, step, feet to the outside of the hands. Release the tailbone down toward the floor. Hands come to heart center. Elbows press into the knees, lift through the crown of the head. Again, working on regulating the breath. So 5 breaths in and out through the nose here. Keep the head in line with the spine. If your ankles, Achilles, or calves are very, very tight, you can always prop something underneath your heels so you can really focus on the hips. 2 more breaths here. Okay, we're going to take this into a twist. So we're just really focusing on opening up our low back and our hips. Take that right hand off to the right, set it on the floor, lift that left arm up. Maybe take the gaze up toward the fingers. Take another full breath here. Release to the opposite side. Left hand to the floor, to the outside of the left side of your mat, and then lift that right arm up. Big breath. And release. Now go ahead and press both hands into the floor, lift your hips up, and then just heel toe your feet back to center, and then come back into a low squat. We're going to come into ball of yarn pose, so keep the heels lifted. If you want to play with your balance here, you can just take opposite hand toward opposite elbow and maybe start to tuck the forehead toward the knees. And exhale. And go ahead and reach your arms straight out. And then on the inhale, press your heels down into the floor and reach up into chair pose. Sink down, take another breath here. Exhale. Inhale, bring hands to heart center, come all the way up into mountain pose. Release hands down by the side. So let's take a side bend. So inhale, both arms up overhead, and then exhale, right hand slides down that right leg, left arm up and across. So feel this nice opening in your left side. Keep the left shoulder in line with the left hip. Come back towards center. Inhale, both arms up overhead, and then exhale to the opposite side. Left hand slides down that left leg. Right shoulder stays in line with right hip. Inhale, both arms up overhead, and then exhale for a chest expansion. Bring the hands behind the back. Open it up. On the inhale, press those fists down, and then exhale, forward fold. So Uttanasana, standing forward fold with chest expansion. This pose focuses more on hamstring length, and of course, bonus, we're getting a shoulder opening as well. So we're working in the direction of straight legs. If they're not straight yet, just keep working in that direction. Keep the hips coming over the ankles. Press the palms of the hands together. One more breath. On the inhale, release your hands, come back to chair pose. So sink the hips low, lift the arms high, and then exhale, we're gonna lift the heels and reach the arms back, coming into balance chair. So obviously balance is a huge component to surfing. So just building some heat and strength in the legs and then building that focus. So keeping the breath steady, keeping the gaze steady. Another breath. On the inhale, we're gonna release the heels, lift the arms high, come all the way up. Take another chest expansion. So draw the elbows down, lift through the heart, maybe lift the gaze. Inhale, tall mountain, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, come all the way back down. I'm gonna take a halfway lift here. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold, plant the hands. Inhale, step back to plank pose. And exhale, this time we're gonna lower into chaturanga, yoga push-up, and then we're gonna hover it halfway. So with the same amount of control, kind of shift forward, elbows stay in, come down for 5, 4, 3. Now hold it here for 2, 1. And this time we're gonna flip over the feet and then press up to upward facing dog. Back to downward facing dog. All right, moving into some standing postures now. Inhale, the right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. See if you can make contact, engage the core, and then step through, foot between the hands. Release that left heel down onto the floor, and then windmill the arms up for warrior 2. Sink down. Keep those shoulders right over the hips. Really engage through the outer hip and glute by drawing that right knee toward the right pinky toe. Continue to hold for another breath. And inhale, bring hands to the heart. Exhale, just bring that right toe into a slight angle, and we're gonna come into a low side lunge. So start to come all the way down. Little control there, flexibility in the knee, flexibility in the hip. And then option here to lift the left toes off the floor for another breath. All right, take the hands onto the floor and then walk yourself to standing straddle splits. So now both toes are gonna come in line with both heels. And we're gonna release the forehead down to the mat. To the best of our ability, let's take the hands underneath the shoulders and then draw the elbows straight back toward the outer edge of the mat as we bring that
crown of the head closer to the floor. So the legs and the arms should be nice and engaged. One more breath here. All right, just walk the hands to the front of the mat so we're back in low lunge. All right, so now we're gonna take that right foot, lift it off the floor, and right in reverse, we're gonna come back to three-legged dog. So see if you can do it without dragging. So lift the foot, press it all the way back, all the way up, and then open that hip, bend the leg, so we get a nice hip stretch here. And come back to center, straighten it out, square up the hips. Now same leg, bring that right knee to the right elbow. Hold here, bring the right knee to the right wrist, and just a little strength building here. Right knee back to the right elbow, three-legged dog, all the way up and back, and release. Inhale the left leg high, lift it up, and then bring the left knee to the nose before we step through. Control is the name of the game here. Bring the right heel down onto the mat as we come up for warrior two, right arm leads the way. Open the hips and the shoulders to the side, and then gaze to the front. Steady focus. Continue to breathe. Shoulders are right over the hips, so try to avoid reaching forward or reaching back. Another breath. Bring hands to the heart. That left foot is going to come slightly in at an angle. We're going to come into that side lunge. So with control, start to lunge toward the front of the mat. Come all the way down if you can. And then option to pick up that right toe, the right toes off the floor, balancing here. Another breath. Bring the hands to the floor and then walk back to standing straddle split. So both heels are going to come behind the toes. Sink down, lowering head toward the floor, and then we're only going to be here for that length of time, and then we're going to rise up because we want to take this into a chest expansion again. So now the hands come behind the back, press the fists down, open it up, and forward fold, hinging over the hips. Keep the legs engaged. Take another breath. Coming up the way we came down. So nice and slow with control. Keep the head in line with the spine. Release the hands. Inhale, 5-pointed star. Toes come out, heels come in. Exhale, hands to heart, sink down into a squat. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, 5-pointed star. And exhale, go ahead and pivot toward the front of your mat, come into low lunge. All right, three-legged dog, coming out of this low lunge with control. Lift that left foot off the floor, hold it. Three-legged dog, press it up and back. And then left knee toward left elbow. Hold it. Left knee toward left wrist. Left knee toward left elbow. Three-legged dog. And release. Walk the feet toward the hands. And then take the left hand to the left hip. Take the right peace fingers around the right big toe. Really engage strongly through your left foot and start to bring your right foot up as we come to a stand.
Okay, so again, working on our balance as well as our flexibility. So you can stay right here, or if you're feeling open in the hamstring, go ahead and extend that right leg forward. Hold here. Exhale. For the inner thigh, continue to keep the gaze and the breath steady. Open the right leg to the right. Maybe extend the left arm to the left. Inhale. Exhale. Back towards center. Release, right foot meets left. Inhale, both arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Let's take it on the other side. Let's take the right hand to the right hip. Left peace fingers around left big toe. Engage strongly through the right leg. Come all the way up. Bring your foot with you. Find a steady gaze. And then you can stay here balancing, or you can add a little flexibility in here, extending that left leg long. Open the left leg to the left for the inner thigh stretch if you choose. Possible to open the right arm to the right. If it feels more stabilizing, you can keep it on the hip. Come back towards center and release. Stretch it up, tall mountain pose, reaching the arms up overhead. Forward fold, come all the way down. Come down into that low squat again. And then from here, go ahead and separate the knees. Try to get the heels to touch. And then possibly taking hands off of the floor, bringing them to heart center. So we're building strength and stability in the bottoms of the feet, flexibility in the inner thighs, openness in the hips. Attention and focus for our balance. Bring the knees back together. Ooh, that wasn't very smooth. And release the hands to the earth and come all the way down to a seat. Extend the legs long. We're going to take seated forward fold to continue to stretch out the hamstrings. Reach the arms up overhead and then reach the hands toward the feet, thighs, or shins. One more breath here in seated forward fold. Come all the way back up. Then we're going to extend that right leg to the right. Bring left foot to right inner thigh. Take the right hand to the left knee. And reach that left arm up and over toward the toes. Okay, so you have a couple options here. You're welcome to take that forearm onto the floor if you'd like. You're welcome to reach over to the toes if you'd like. Just try and avoid rolling forward. So we really want to focus on this stretch in our side. And obviously we're getting a stretch in our hamstring as well. Release, and we'll take it on the other side. So left leg out to an angle. Right foot to left inner thigh. Twist toward the knee. Left hand is going to come onto the right knee. Right arm is going to come up and over. Okay, you can stay here, or you can take that left forearm onto the mat. You can stay here, or you can reach the right arm toward the toes. I can't reach on this side, but I'm reaching in that direction. And then just roll that shoulder in line. Try to focus on bringing that chest and rolling it up toward the sky. And release. Let's roll down onto our back, and we're going to take some twists here. So just like everything else we've done in this practice, with control. So building some stability and some core strength, take it slow. Very, very slow. Try to avoid getting to that point where you just have to like collapse. Okay, so working in that direction, controlling it all the way down. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Go ahead and bring the feet to touch. We're going to take a bridge pose just to open up the front line of the body. So press into the heels, lift the hips. Option for chest expansion, interlace the fingers, roll on to the outer edges of the shoulders if you choose. Last inhale. And exhale, slowly lower down. Hug the knees into the chest. Little loose grip here, not a tight squeeze. And then bring the arms out to capital T, palms face down, and release the knees to the right. Gaze to the left. Try to keep that left shoulder glued on the floor. Complete the exhale. Come back through center. With control, knees come to the left. Gaze to the right. Knees come back towards center. Hug them in. And release for Shavasana. Legs come long. Feet fall open. Arms rest alongside the body, palms face up. Get comfortable. Now's the moment where we can release that control and regulation over the breath and just come back to the natural rhythm. Invite you to stay in Shavasana as long as you have time for. Thanks for joining me for this practice for surfers, and I wish you well on the waves. Today as you go forward, may you have peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, peace in your heart. Namaste.